Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast, everyone. This is Abe, your host. It is June 16th, 2025. This month is already halfway over. Time is fucking flying, man. I had 2 days off, which was nice. Just been playing some Zelda, doing a shit ton of grinding, slowly progressing. Yeah, Father's Day was yesterday, so happy late Father's Day to whoever's listening. My dad's in prison, so I do plan on doing a whole episode just kind of talking about my dad's story in general. I think it would be a good episode. It's slightly conspiratorial, kind of delves into Satanism and all that fun stuff. And I think it would be good for episode in general, so you guys get to know me a little better, you know, because I don't know about you, but when I listen to podcasts, I like to know the host, you know, and kind of his story, and I like to listen to a podcast and feel like I know the host, you know, and I try to, you know, put my personal life somewhat in the podcast while discussing conspiracy and different subjects and shit. So, let's see. Got some songbooks, some old Beatles songbooks. I'm gonna give it to my buddy at work, because he plays guitar. I have no use for them. My mother-in-law was giving them to me because she has no use for them. She doesn't play guitar. But let's see. Yeah, let's just get on with the show. So I wanted to talk about this. This is a little bit of older news, but I don't mind covering it. Bono on Rogan, dude. And the only reason, look, I like Joe Rogan. He got me into the podcast genre in general. I grew up listening to talk radio, like Loveline, Howard Stern. I used to listen to Howard Stern when I wasn't supposed to late at night. My parents had satellite and cable TV and shit, and it was hooked up in my room, and I'd listen and watch Howard Stern. And I used to listen to Loveline at night too. Like I had a little radio next to my pillow in my bed, my bunk bed, and I'd turn it on real low, be listening to Loveline. So that's what kind of got me into talk radio. And then years later, I was still listening to like Bob and Tom on the radio, like to work, because I worked real early in the mornings at McDonald's with my ex-wife, and we would listen to Bob and Tom in the mornings. And I didn't really get into podcasts. I didn't even know what a podcast was until Joe Rogan. That's one thing I always stand up for him. Like, he gets a lot of hate from other podcasts, and it's like, homie, there would be no such thing as podcast if we didn't have Joe Rogan, you know. Now, there was like pirate radio and shit. Like William Cooper did seminars and taught people how to buy radio equipment and put out their own talk radio live legally, you know. He used to do that. He used to have a whole seminar about how to do it, you know. But I mean, we wouldn't really have podcasts without Joe Rogan or Death Squad Radio, which is like Sam Tripoli was a part of that. So I used to listen to Joe Rogan. I'm not huge on him now, you know. I've moved on to bigger and better things. Like conspiracy podcasts, you know, like Tinfoil Hat, Union of the Unwanted, you know. Last podcast on the left. I found shit that I liked better, you know. Which cracks me up, dude. Like all these mainstream, like The View and all these mainstream talk shows and CNN, you know, that like are like Joe Rogan's pushing conspiracies, and it's like, Joe Rogan literally gets made fun of in the conspiracy community. Like, I don't know, it reminds me of the Satanic Panic when everyone was going against Kiss and Twisted Sister, when there was like actual satanic metal bands out there. You know what I mean? But recently he had Bono on there, and there's like one U2 song that I like. It's Sunday Bloody Sunday. That's it. In my opinion, U2 fucking sucks. My mom, the only reason it caught my attention was because growing up, dude, my mom had every U2 album. She used to buy like the concert DVDs, the documentaries. That was my mom's favorite band. So I remember riding around in the car with her. She'd always listen to U2. And elevation, ooh, ooh. Me and my little brother, we always fucking hated U2. We're like, dude, this sucks, you know. And that was like my mom's like Hollywood crush was U2. My dad's was Britney Spears, my mom's was Bono, you know. Bono and The Edge. She liked The Edge too. And it all goes back and kind of reminds me of the whole like Family Guy skit where Bono and Peter Griffin are stuck on an abandoned island, and there's a crate of food, and Peter's like, well, we're starving, let's get into it. And Bono was like, no, we can't. It's for the starving children of Africa, you know. And then every time Peter like turns his back, Bono's like eating out of the crate. And I love Family Guy, dude. There's a whole conspiracy about, we're gonna have to dive into it one day, of Seth MacFarlane surviving 9/11, and what was it? One of the Wahlberger brothers, Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark, happened to survive 9/11, and then both of them end up working together. And I do have to say this though, Family Guy and The Simpsons, Seth MacFarlane has to know some shit. And same with Matt Groening from The Simpsons. They have to have like some form of elite friends who are filling them in on what's going to happen or what is happening. I mean, look at how much shit Family Guy has predicted. Like, who is that track star? Caitlyn Jenner. I think it's Caitlyn Jenner, right? That's the dad who turned into a woman. Like, they predicted that shit years ago. Like, it was a skit of him cross-dressing on a boat, you know, performing for the troops. They've predicted a shit ton of stuff. So I already kind of knew that Bono was a fucking shill, because it was because of that Family Guy sketch that I was like, oh, they're saying that they were symbolizing. I immediately caught the joke. I was like, oh, they're symbolizing that he steals from his charities that he has. And I'd never reported on it, but the story did come back up because he's on Joe Rogan recently. So he had this charity called One, O-N-E, and the charity was proved that they had received like millions of fucking dollars from like donors and shit, and they literally spent only like barely over 1% of the donations and the money to the actual charity. So I find that interesting. And I mean, is it any surprise? Like, honestly, you could do it with any of these celebrities' charities. Like, if I was to donate to a charity, I'd try to do my research. But if it's like connected to a huge celebrity, that automatically, in my opinion, should be like a gigantic red flag. So I just found that interesting. And I wanted to just kind of give my 2 cents. I did watch the interview. First of all, Bono looks fucking ridiculous. And I know I look like a silly goose too. Like I told you guys, like I'm a punk. You know, I still wear tight jeans. I got, you know, battle boots on right now. I still spike my hair. Yeah, and honestly, when I'm like 50 years old, I'm sure I'll still look like ridiculous. So, but I don't know, just watching him in the interview, his hair's all slicked back. His hair looks fucking horrible. I have to say that, and I know I'm picking at like petty physical appearance shit, but like he used to like slick his hair back and it actually used to look decent like way back in the day, but he's like still trying to do that. But I've noticed with a lot of older people, and my hair has started to do it the older I've gotten, especially like up in here, it becomes like stringy and like real kinky almost. And his is doing that, but he's still trying to do the whole like mop top, but it's slicked back. Like he just looks fucking ridiculous. And you know, like him and Joe, like Joe Rogan, he always does like a classic picture with the guest, and they like post it online, and Bono's like trying to be cool and flip the bird and trying to be like, yeah, I'm anti-establishment, like I'm punk rock, you know. And first of all, U2 was never punk rock. They remind me kind of like the Police, who are supposed to be like bad boys, which I actually do like the Police. Sting's solo shit fucking sucks. But the Police, I do like the Police. But like, you know what I mean? Like they were trying to be like this whole outlaw punk rock shit. My phone's overheating. And they just weren't, man. They just never were, you know. But there's videos of Bono meeting with George Soros. And we all know about George Soros. He's sketchy as fuck. One of these lizard people, but there's videos of him meeting with George Soros. So if you can find it, go check that shit out. Apparently, Bono has been working with the World Economic Forum. So listen to this shit. I was watching Coach Colin, which is a channel I just found recently. He's a black dude and he kind of covers Joe Rogan stuff. He's a conservative, but he does kind of get into conspiracy shit, so he's kind of cool. I like his stuff. I just found him, you know, he seems cool. But he was showing that Bono was one of these, like, I forget what they call it in the World Economic Forum, like World Economic Forum, Young Achievers or something like that. And it's basically, there's a whole list of people who are connected with the World Economic Forum. As far as like world leaders and shit, and even like stars and shit, and Bono was on that list. He's been working with the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab for years. So here's what's funny. After this interview with Joe Rogan, the World Economic Forum website took off any information of Bono ever being a part of it. All the videos or interviews or anything with Bono connected was removed from the World Economic Forum website. So, we have this thing that's amazing and I love it to death. I think they even tried to ban it, was the Wayback Machine. People have been using the Wayback Machine and finding this old shit of how Bono is connected with the World Economic Forum. And it's like Sam Tripoli says, man, like the internet turned against them. And by them, I mean like the elites, you know, World Economic Forum, politicians, like, yes, it can be used against us with like psychological warfare, propaganda, dead internet theory, you know, all this shit, AI. It could be used against us, but we can also use it against them. It's like a two-edged sword. And I mean, dude, you can look at the origins of the internet. It was created by DARPA. Everything, any form of technology that we get, the military always gets it, and they're like, how can we use this for warfare or psychological warfare or against the American people? Like, it's sad, but it's true. Any form of technology. They could use it to create a utopia, but instead they create a dystopia out of it. So yeah, Bono's real buddy-buddy with the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. It's interesting. So, apparently, he was named in something called the Paradise Papers, which is something we need to look at. Maybe we'll do a whole deep dive on the Paradise Papers, because apparently Bono's named in it, and it was like all this tax evasion stuff. So if you know anything about the Paradise Papers, hit me up in the comments. Like I said, we will do a whole deep dive on that. But yeah, he's been caught like tax evading, allegedly. And yeah, he's the greedy little Irishman on the island, stealing from the crate. So I just wanted to talk about Bono and Joe Rogan a little bit on how much Bono fucking sucks. And he's like literally a New World Order shill. So this was fucking crazy. I wanted to get into it, and it's kind of conspiratorial. It's actually an older video that was brought to my attention. First of all, shout outs to August the Duck. Go check him out. Go subscribe to him and tell him who sent you. Maybe he'll give me a shout out. But he's not really a conspiracy channel. He's more like social commentary on just different stuff that's going on, which I do like watching that type of shit. But this one caught my eye. It's like an older video that has resurfaced and been going around the internet. So, and it is conspiratorial somewhat. It's 9/11 related. So he played a video. I don't know what fucking high school this is, but it was a video of a cheerleading ceremony. Like, there's all these parents and students in a gymnasium. And it was right after 9/11. So, like, America during this time period was, like, it was honestly, as weird as it sounds, in a way it was kind of cool, but at the same time it was kind of scary. That, like, I do have to say it was one of the most patriotic time periods of America that I've ever experienced in my lifetime, which is cool, but at the same time it's scary because we were very pro-war, of like, we gotta kill these terrorists, they did this on 9/11, which if you know, you know that it was an inside fucking job. And Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11. There was no weapons of mass destruction. You all know that shit. But this was like footage of a cheerleading ceremony. And I kid you not, like, if you can find the video, go find the video. And like I said, go check out August the Duck, because he kind of breaks it down. But basically they're doing like a normal cheer routine, and then all of a sudden the lights go out, and there's like strobe lights and fog machines to like imitate smoke from the towers falling. And you get like all these girls start stacking up in like a gigantic, basically a building. And then there's like 3 or 4 girls, and there's one girl who just lays down on her stomach and puts her arms out like an airplane. And I kid you not, they pick her up and they start flying around with her. And while this is all going on, there's like strobe lights and like music. But whatever song they chose, I wish I knew the name of it or if I could find it, but it was like this like dramatic music with overlaying of George Bush Jr.'s voice of like, I don't know, all these quotes about, you know, like, we're gonna find the terrorists, you know, you're either with them or you're with us. Like, it's insane. It's like propaganda out the wazoo. And then they fly the girl into the metaphoric building and all the girls fall down. Yeah, and the music too, like, was a mixture of like Enya. I don't know if you remember Enya, but they did this one song. They were like an Irish band, but like not like traditional folk Irish. Like, they weren't like cool Irish like Gaelic Storm or like the Dubliners. It was like really weird fucking Irish music. And like, I'll never forget, dude. It was in 5th grade, and this was actually pretty close after 9/11, because 9/11 happened when I was in 4th grade, but the next year, everyone was still obsessed with 9/11. And I remember every day, dude, my teacher, and I can't remember her name. She was a sweetheart. She was a good woman. But she would listen to Enya every single morning. The same fucking album, the same CD. And in the morning, we would come in, and our little morning assignment would be on the chalkboard or dry erase, whatever. And while we were doing it, she would be playing Enya. And I just remember the... And I don't know why, when I was a little kid, it used to like creep me out. Like, it used to make me uncomfortable listening to it. I don't know what it is about Enya, but even to this day, like, I listen to it, and it's like an uneasiness. I don't know, it just, they were playing Enya during this cheerleading ceremony, and it like triggered that memory, you know. But I don't know, I had to share that. And if you can find the video, go check the video out. It's fucking insane, of these cheerleaders pretending to be buildings and planes, smashing into the Twin Towers metaphorically. It's just, the propaganda was insane, man. Looking back on it, dude, it was just insane. It was such a weird time period to live in, and a weird time of America, of like flags everywhere and fucking cheerleaders pretending to be planes smashing into buildings. It was just fucking nuts. Well, I'm gonna plug my Buy Me a Coffee real quick. I do have a Buy Me a Coffee account. If you're listening on Rumble, YouTube, or Spotify, if you choose to donate $1, that would be cool. It helps with notebooks, pens, paper, flash drives, shit like that. It does go back into the channel. So let's get on with the next subject. So I did want to get into this, and this is kind of older news, but I found it interesting. And to me, it was the perfect example of like why I hate media, mainstream media, so fucking much. And I try not to use the word hate, but I feel like if it's an inanimate object, I feel like it's not too bad. So, but yeah, mainstream media fucking blows. So me and my wife are watching a video, and it's basically like, this is back when Elon was buddies with Trump, and apparently they were at a dinner, and Elon was balancing like 3 or 4 spoons on his finger, and one of his women, I say women because I can't keep up with them, between Grimes, and he has like 1 billion children. He's like kind of like Epstein and Zorro Ranch. He's like obsessed with populating the world and making children and stuff, which, hey, that's cool. If you're a millionaire and you can have 1 billion children, more power to you, you know. I mean, Bob Marley, you know, he used to have what, like 12 or 13 kids, something crazy. I don't think the world is overpopulated, so it's cool. But he was sitting there with one of his baby mamas and showing her this spoon trick, balancing like 3 or 4 spoons on his finger. So the media took this footage and is putting its spin on it, saying he's a drug addict, and specifically ketamine. So I used to be a drug user. I've experimented with multiple drugs. I've never experimented with ketamine, but I've heard enough stories about ketamine and what they would call the K-hole. So from what I've heard, and tell me if I'm wrong if you've ever used ketamine or something like that. Well, ketamine, if you've ever used ketamine and experienced it yourself. I was always under the impression that it was very similar to like salvia, of like when you do ketamine, from what I've heard of people who have used it and told their story, you basically fall down to the ground and are like immobilized, tripping balls like salvia, and they call it the K-hole. So kind of like ether almost, and which we know the media is retarded. And like I said, I could be wrong. Can you use ketamine and still function? But if it does that to you when you use too much, I wouldn't think that it would make your dexterity better. So during the video, I did watch the video, people are like coming up to him and like trying to talk to him, and he's just like, get away, like chill. And everyone's like, see, he's on drugs, he's doing spoon tricks, and he's not handling business. And I'm like, I don't know about you, but when Doge was going on, I liked what he was doing, and it seemed like he was uncovering a lot of shit. Just saying. 2, when do these motherfuckers get breaks? Like, when do they get breaks? I mean, if I just finished eating lunch, I don't want to jump right back into work. I want to take like a little 15-minute smoke break, which Elon doesn't smoke, apparently. So like, can the guy just not chill for a second and do a spoon trick and show his girl his spoon trick? Like, why does everything have to be business 24/7? I am curious about that. Like, these politicians, these government officials, these presidents and vice presidents, when do they actually just get to chill out? Are they allowed to do that for like 5 minutes without being called a drug addict? Or, and they were trying to use evidence of like in the video of like, look at the Secret Service. He's even embarrassed by it. And when I watched the video, I'm like, no, he's literally just standing there watching the trick, impressed by it. And I do have to say, like, anyone who is like, oh, he's on drugs, he's doing a spoon trick. Okay. So if you're Mr. Sober and anti-drugs, and I'm sober, you know, I don't even smoke cigarettes, you know. You do the spoon trick. Because it was 3 or 4 spoons balancing on his finger. You do the spoon trick. If you're so sober, you do the spoon trick. And post it online and link it into my comment section. But it just shows you like how stupid people are. Like, have they never... I bartended for 8 years. And I've been to many parties, cocktail parties and all sorts of things. Has no one in the mainstream media never heard of a party trick of like, hey, watch this, I'm gonna yank this, you know, tablecloth and not move a dish, or I'm going to sing at a certain tone and shatter this wine glass? Or, I mean, there's all sorts of party tricks. I'm sure they've published books of like 101 party tricks. It's a party trick. So now if you do a party trick, the mainstream media thinks that you're like a drug fiend now. And I don't know, me and my wife were watching it and we're like, dude, the mainstream media is literally grasping at straws. Any little tiny thing that they can find, you know. And I'm not like an Elon fanboy, I'm not a Trump fanboy. You guys go check out plenty of episodes, I've talked shit about the guy. I think he's Dyson from Terminator 2, you know. But so stupid. I love y'all. Y'all have a good day.